We are going to see how you form your engineering team. This is part of the systems engineering philosophy that NASA gives us as the guidance for systems engineering. Now, systems engineering is basically being a systems engineer that is in charge of an entire mission, entire project by giving just the directive, as if the United States president gives the directive, say, let's say in five years we're going back to Mars, and you're going to land on Mars or do another mission, and that's all you know. So you gotta form your team. You gotta be able to get yourself organized, and that's what we're gonna be doing today. So let's start with this. I'm gonna show you some slides that relate to this. Um, we're gonna call it teamwork module. Okay. The purpose of this is to demonstrate the role of teamwork in the execution of a project. So we need to look at what principles are behind successful teams. We need to recognize the personality types of each of the members and do a self-evaluation of what we're doing in such a way that we would be successful at this. Um, Learn the types, benefits, and applications of the Myers personality type indicator. None of you are psychologists, which is good. And this is why we are going to do this. Um, one of the um, first things we gotta do is let's give it some thought about what in reality is the major difference between studying at the university and the work world. Yeah? So the transition is from individual work to teamwork. And I think those of you who have managed teams understand this really well. Because you see, when you're trying to get something done in industry, the project usually is big. You cannot do it by yourself. So you have to rely on other people to help you. So in here, we have a situation where um, by using projects like this or doing thesis or not thesis, but doing like a senior design project, for example, is a good example because you have to form a team to work. I think it's great that we have that experience as teams because that's what you're going to be doing in the real world. So, given this, we rely on teams and um, the team might be called the IPDT, Integrated Product Development Team, or IPT for short, Integrated Product Team. Um, so here are the reasons outlined on the fourth bullet there. No one individual has all the required knowledge that we need to recognize. I have seen projects fail because the person who was trying to coordinate, he wanted to be Superman and do everything and did not know how to delegate to others. Or maybe the others also didn't have this idea of teamwork. So that's why I'm trying to change this. In this case, diverse team interaction encourages ingenuity and creativity, of course, reduces engineering design time, and enables fewer problems in transition from engineering to manufacturing, because in the end that's where we are going. We have a mission. We have to make hardware. We need to build vehicles. We need to do all kinds of things to be able to accomplish what we want to do. So let's talk a little bit about the steps of developing the team. And in here you would say we have the challenge of the team of teams. We need to develop team members that are, in many cases, geographically all apart. Think about it. We all came from different cultural backgrounds. We all of us think a little different than each other. Maybe there's cultural basis. There's language basis. There's some of you here in this room who were born in the United States and you learned English as a little kid. And there's some of us who weren't born here and we learned um, a little later in life. I learned English when I was 16, and there's other people here, they speak other languages. Um, the communication in English, although it's a common language for everybody, you have to recognize that it's not the same for a native speaker as it is from somebody that has English as the second language. Even as good as English as you may speak, well, hopefully I do that, but still the communication and the gestures and the, you may say, the modalities and slangs and things like that are typical of every language. And for those of you who are married, you know how you communicate with your husband or your wife. Even the looking at the expression of the face on the other person tells you something about it. There's no exception in working. When you are developing a team and you're working as an engineer, you have to know who you're working with. You have to know also how to talk to them. You have to know um, where to be more effective in communicating with somebody and the different ways of communicating with that person. Well, how does that happen? Um, we want to, we have some objectives for the team. Um, we have, like, you see those that flow chart, forming the team, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, that kind of cycle. But in here, everybody is important. I think the person who is managing, he has a job, and everybody has a different job. Okay, that's all there is. Nobody is everybody is important to the project. The goal is to create a culture of collaboration. You see, so in this case, STORE has a, a mission of being able to approach personally everybody, not just of course, he's going to be sending emails and putting things on a Dropbox or on Google Drive or stuff like that are not as personal as a personal conversation. But be prepared to call each other, to give him a call, to call me. In fact, I will give you my cell number too, so you can do that. Um, you see what it says, explicitly reward collaboration traits. Say something positive to people. And even in times of difficulties, be professional about complaining about something. Make the other person think that, yeah, you are uncomfortable, but seek solutions. I think I must give credit to the Swiss. Those guys, that culture is very interesting because if you live in Switzerland or you have worked over there and there's a problem, you go to somebody and they would listen to you what the problem is. And usually, 9 times out of 10, they look for an answer that might solve this problem instead of saying, no, it cannot be done, which which might be the answer in the end, but at least they try. So I think I have a great deal of respect as a culture, because they think like that. I had the opportunity to spend my sabbatical at the Swiss Institute of Technology, and that's why I'm telling you that I had firsthand of. That's just my observation of their culture. Okay, here um, you say you got to work with honesty, integrity, sharing, receptivity, consistency, and respect. English has very powerful words to convey actions, and these are those. Build a set of trust. You need to plan, create a structure, um, make each other feel important, just like in a personal relationship. You want the other person to feel that you respect that person, make them feel good. At the same time, be professional and be at the same time forceful at times where you need to be to do this particular job. Here an example, for example, for the JSC Constellation program um, for developing this team. These were the principles. Constellation program is one of the new proposals for going back to Mars. So these are the things that they set up in a couple of slides in here. Set up an atmosphere of professional expectations with trust, mutual respect, trust on one another. I think this one is a really personal one, because if you trust on one another, it means that you are not doing the same thing. Your part of your project may depend on what the other one is doing, and vice versa. So that's why the idea of working as a system actually works. Um, Engage in unfiltered conflict around ideas, meaning discuss all the possibilities and don't don't think at first that you want to go with that one and you don't want to listen to any other one. Many projects have switched in the last minute stages of execution for a better one. Um, the the trip to the moon is a very good example of that, because there were other options that we're considering and doing, and they were about to take those on until the other option of the one that actually took place came about. Focus on the outcomes, do have an objective of being, you know, do cooperation, and then define the role and responsibilities in terms of the teams. Um, do not clash, but rather mesh like teeth on a gear train. That's very good way. Be vigilant in finding or eliminating some things that are not very important, or the outcome may not be the best. So be flexible in making simplifications, make saving things. And then be prepared for the program review, and be humble about it, in the sense that when the project gets reviewed, you might have to redo some things, and be patient with that. Okay. um, I like number 7. Team leaders must take a servant leader approach, and they ascertain that what the problems of the team members are related to the function of the team. How this affects the outcomes is, you see, being a servant leader It's just like in a family, yeah? A father or a mother, they are leaders, but they are servants of the others. And brothers or sisters are also servants of one another. This is the concept of the family is a team. In fact, if you see many families that work like that are very successful, they stay together. Um, but anyway, that's just one of it's just my view on that. Now here, now let's go to the engineering team and the personalities. And let's ask this question. Have you ever wondered what kind of member you would make on a team? Probably not. So, what I'm going to suggest to you is that we take a personality type um, survey, and in terms of the most common model of personality. So, this there is something called some program developed by Isabel Briggs and Myers called the Brick-Myers um, personality test. And so this one is stands for MBTI or Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. So this is a very interesting um, evaluation because it's hard to evaluate ourselves. But I think it's if somebody at least has an unbiased and you may say neutral evaluation method, then maybe we should take a look at it. And this is why I am suggesting we do this. It was started in 1943, so it's been a long time. The MBTI has evolved and improved through continual test, research, and development so that you have better questions, and millions of people have taken this test. So it's a standard for government executive training, and it's not to find out, you know, very personal things in the sense that they're gonna find out who you like or who you dislike or whether you have how much money you have or anything like that. Nothing like that. This is more to give an idea to the team what kind of person you are. And there's no score. That's the beauty of this. There's no score that is better than another. It's just different. We are all different, and that's what the point I'm trying to make. So in this case, you have this um, four-letter indicator. Like this first letter is how you gain energy. Either you have a energy through conscientiousness. Um, we experience this on our daily lives. Where do we get energy? From an inward turn word or from the outside turn in? One of these words is our elemental source of energy, the other one is secondary. And all of us are different on this. Two, how do you take information? So this is a preference of how people perceive or take information. How do you sense? Either you are sensing or you do it through intuition. There's a lot of talk about the women are different than men in this regard, yeah. And I think think I think it's true. But nevertheless, this is the second letter. The fourth letter, the third letter, excuse me, are the ways you make decisions. This is a set of mental preference that identifies how people form judgments. Do you think about something or do you feel about something and that's how you make decisions? I think at some point, I don't think all the things that I'm saying, they are like a switch, either this way or the other way. You might have a little bit of both, but most certainly one of them is going to be dominant from the other. That's all we're saying. And the last letter is the ways you live in the world. So you see, this is very general. And like I said, it's not, doesn't have a grade where one succeeds or not. It's just to just have an idea of how people are. So I think I find it's a lot of fun, and I think we should take this test. Do you have like an extroverted orientation of looking at the world? Um, what is our mental preference? How do you relate to the outside world? Either you judge or you perceive. So to do this, we need to take um, one of these tests that is called the Myers-Briggs Personality Indicator. And these are the reasons for doing this. One is to know thyself, know yourself, developing a self-portrait to understand your strengths and preferences, in addition to the areas where you could improve or how you could best match in with others and give yourself an opportunity to grow. Two, to recognize that others are different. I think uh, in a personal relationship, you can see this very clearly. At some point, you would like the other person to be a little different. And maybe you don't have the tools to change that person. You just have the tools to recognize how they are. See, the awareness of how our personality type is, there are many times that makes it less likely that we assume that others are like us. Important for team dynamics. If we know each other and how we are, we can appreciate more the strengths, and perhaps if we discover some weakness in there, we might be able to help that person. All of us have weakness. None of us are perfect. Um, and this is going to help us to improve the diverse world. So improve the communication, of course. So you will apply this as a leadership tool, as a team building tool. If you are the systems engineer, the project engineer, you need to hire people and recognize how they are. You also need to help others and yourself in planning your career and ultimately in solving problems. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a pause and then we will go to this web page and do it. But I wanted to give you an idea why we should do this, and I think you get the point now.